Welcome one, welcome all. Yeah, we are sitting here on a Sunday and it's super cold here in San Francisco Bay Area. It's definitely cold, but I wanted to let me make sure this thing sounds good, everybody. Make sure this thing sounds good. Um I just shot a fashion show last night and I was going to go through, hurry up and edit it and deliver the photos. But I decided after I picked out all my favorite photos, why don't I bring you all along my journey on how to edit or how I edit fashion show or runway photography photos? And I thought, that could be actually pretty helpful for those portrait photographers, fashion photographers that do attend, whether it be local or more national fashion shows like LA Fashion Week, Art Hearts Fashion Week, Miami Swim Week, or New York Fashion Week. If I didn't say that, that like how do you go through the process of editing it? Because it is my approach is definitely different than average headshots or portraits, and I think a lot of people when they're starting out approach the editing process the same way that they do portraits or weddings and headshots. They go about it editing it this way, but it's actually much different. And I had a great conversation with another photographer in the photography pit area, and it really helped me to really think about this topic. And I was like, you know what? I think this could be a super helpful um, live stream. And it's going to be kind of loosey goosey. There's nothing really structured, but as I edit the photos, I'm going to go ahead and share, excuse me, my step-by-step process. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. If you haven't already, all right, go ahead and subscribe to my other social channels on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Threads and TikTok and everything else. Go ahead. Feel free to follow. All the links are down below for you to check them out. Now, oh, I already see. What do we got here? RBJ's in the house. Yeah. Oh shoot, man. 18 degrees. Yeah, I guess you're right. Who cares what I'm going through? But that when you say 18 degrees, that really puts it in perspective, right? Um, so let me show you before we get started with the editing. This is what I used. I used the Nikon Z8 right here, Nikon Z8, and I used just this lens, the 50 mil f1.2 lens for all of the runway photos. So when you see the photos, this is what I used, nothing more, nothing less. And then as for a light, because most local shows, you're gonna have to bring some sort of light for yourself. And I recommend a flash. Don't bring LED, bring a flash so you can freeze the model. I used the 8200, okay, the Godox AD200. All the links to what I used is down below in the description section for you to check out for yourself. And so, like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the chat. Oh, King Kruk getting the bag even on a weekend. Ew. You know it, brother. I just came up with this topic because I thought it would be super helpful to bring all of you along my journey as I edit these photos. And yeah, it's kind of just willy-nilly. And I said, let me just fire it up. I didn't want to make a polished video. I just want to go live and we're gonna hang out for an hour or two or something, or whatever we're gonna do. That's what it's gonna end up. Uh um I'm going to answer any questions you may have. And what else is there? And of course, questions, comments, concerns, and all that other jazz. All right, let's get to it. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here getting all over the place. Is there any other little business that I need to? Well, let me go back to comments. Turn it off. Media. Is there anything else? No, I think we are good. Yeah, I think we're good. All right, let's get to the editing, shall we? All right, so let me pull up this thing. Now, let's see. Now, Okay, so now I have all the photos pulled up. What I already did is pre-selected which photos I plan on editing. So just to let you know, what I do is when I go to edit photos for Runway, I always start with selecting the BTS shots that I want to share, and then versus um, the runway photos. So I always separate those two off top, and I use color code. That's how I tend to do it. You could do it through stars, you could do it through flags, whatever, however you want to do it in Lightroom. I use colors. So without going through all the process, I already edited a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. And oh, here's the behind it. The red is what I use for runway photos. Those aren't edited yet. I'll show you that. And then right here, the yellow is what I use for the edit for the behind the scenes. I like getting behind the scenes. You'd be amazed how many producers really appreciate behind the scene photos just as much as the actual runway photos. Okay, because not all the photographers are capturing cool candid moments, and that's your chance to kind of make a little bit of a name for yourself, or at least be noticed more and invited back to future shows, whether it be through the fashion designers themselves or the fashion producer, the show producer. All right, so I already went through and I kind of edited all these I took with the 7 Artisans 35 mil. I love a 35 mil for a BTS because it's wide but not too wide, and you still can get some depth of field. With this being a f1.8 lens, it was perfect for behind the scenes and giving me great low light performance. All right, and yes, I used the Nikon Z8 for these photos, but I was just being loosey goosey, capturing people doing what they're doing, getting ready, stuff like that, and still being mindful of, trying to get the best exposure as possible. Now, the flash I used for these is that where is it? It's right here, actually. Okay. This thing, I talked about this before, and I don't think you guys really believe me, but I'm going to tell you again. This little flash here, the Godox AD200, is a secret weapon for event photography, candid photos, candid street fashion photos, and behind the scenes photos. Like, this thing here is awesome. Let me cover up my face. There we go. This thing is awesome. It's super powerful. I didn't shoot at anything above 1/64th of a second. Like, this thing, even on low power, kicked out a lot of juice. So I was shooting roughly about 1/64th of full power, right? And that's what we're capturing here with all of these BTS shots. Look at that lighting. Look how even it is using this teeny old little light. And I was holding it in my hand. I had the X3. Let me get back on the screen here. I had the X3 wireless trigger, the Godox X3 trigger. And I had that attached to the Z8. And then I was holding the Z8. And then I was in my left hand, I had this flash just in my hand, just like so. And I was just angling the light and I was firing away. This thing was awesome. I mean, awesome. I absolutely will always have this in my bag now when I do any sort of event photography, just for quick candid, and it's super small and keeps me out of the way. I don't have to bring, and you get better angles, quite honestly. If you're shooting with this, you're going to be able to go from left to right by just changing the direction of your wrist, versus an on camera flash. You're pretty stuck at that position, which is mounted onto your hot shoe. Okay. And if you have an off camera with a stand, now you got the stand to deal with, and people and room and stuff like that. This thing is clutch. The photos prove it for themselves. All right. Look how even that lighting is. Boom, here again. And I'm just capturing some stuff with models behind the scenes, having fun, because believe it or not, when you create some quick content with the models, you tag them, they're going to tag you, or at least tell other people, show up on their profile if you do tag collaborate. And then your profile gets pushed out there even more, and you get good juju. If you're the good photographer and you're getting great content and you're sharing it with the models there, because a lot of times in local shows, they're not paid like you're not paid. So, but the best thing you could benefit and win from these shows is the content. So I always share, try to tag the models, the designers, etc., and then your profile gets pushed further out there in the what do you call it, in the metasphere or whatever it is. All right, so this one I really like this photo here. And it was just a quick shot I had of the model. I said, hey, come sit here. I really like this. I put it down and then I shot it with the IT30. All right. So that's all I was doing, getting some candid shots of folks, just like that. No modifier was on this IT30. It's just like this, bare bulb, straight up, just like this. And look at these photos. Granted, I was using a Z8, but you know, can't deny the impact. That's for sure. So these were the, you know, before the show started. That's another photographer there. I told him to look in this particular direction, tried to give him a, you know, a Superman look right there. All right. And these are folks just coming to attend, the audience, etc. Boom. I just love the lighting this little thing produces. And even at full price, it's only $79. During Black Friday, it was $59. Okay. I have a feeling it'll go back to $59 sometime, or at least $69. Worth every penny. I don't care what anybody says. This thing is clutch. The size, the power, and it works wirelessly, and you could charge it via USB-C. All right. Look, the photos speak for themselves. It's really, really awesome to use. I love it. Let's go through. Again, these are just candid shots before the show. All right. That's the way, you know, just helping out. So those are the candid shots, but we're not here for that. But I just wanted to show you what you could do behind the scenes just to add a little bit more impact and to help better solidify your name and make more of a name for yourself out there when you're out there doing fashion shows and fashion weeks, etc. Because guess what? Every other dude with a camera is going to shoot the runway. So there's nothing really that special unless you have that house photographer perspective and you're shooting right down the lane. So these are little ways which you can create some more impact and make the show more beneficial for you as a photographer, capturing these BTS, sharing it with people, and letting them know, you know, follow you on Instagram or whatever it is that you want them to do. All right. Okay. So that's that. Now I'm going to, as I said, I did all BTS photos using yellow. Now red is what I use for all the, all the runway photography. Now I was the house photographer for this show. I tend to be for San Francisco Fashion Week. Shout out to Owen. And I want to make sure he gets the best of the best of the best. Now I already went through, I took about 1,100 photos and I whittled it down to 254. So my goal, this is just me. I try to get at least 2 great, phenomenal photos per model walk. Some models walk so fast and they get to the end and turn them right around. I can't get a shot. That's up to them. Okay. But guess what? That means they may only get 1 shot. Okay. But my goal is to get 2, ideally 1 walking and then 1 as a pose. Okay. And if the walk doesn't really work, I'll get 2 poses. But my goal is to always try to at least have 2 photos of each design. Okay. That's really what we're here to capture, the designs and which ultimately best represents and complements the designer. Okay. So the models help, but they're modeling and promoting what? The designs for the designer. So it's not really about the model themselves, unless they paid you to show up and shoot their show, you know, which I doubt because most models, they're not paying no photographer to show up. Okay. So let's get into here. As I said earlier, I shot with the Nikon Z8, and you can see here I used the Z50 f1.2. Now, what I did here, because there's a lot of action, you're lifting up your camera, dropping your camera, and all sorts of stuff. Here's a little tip. Let me get to this. Here's a little cool creative tip. Lock your settings. Lock your settings. Now, on the Godox flash with the AD200, on the trigger itself, on the X3, I locked my settings. As soon as I got it exactly where I want it during the preparation of the show before it began, is my internet flashing? What in the world is going on here? It looks like it's like poltergeist. I noticed it like pulsating inside of StreamYard here. But anyway, let me know if my stream is good to go. So once I got it all dialed in, the power of the flash, I lock it. And then in Nikon, I was able to lock the shutter speed and the aperture value, not the ISO, but that's cool. I locked those as I could. So as I'm moving, because of all the energy and shooting each model walking down a runway, let me tell you, your fingers will touch buttons. And then before you know it, you're like, why am I getting underexposed or too far exposed? A lot of times your fingers hit those buttons, especially the front and rear dial. So lock in your settings. That is such a good tip. No one's ever told me that. I had to find that out by messing up too many times. All right. So once you get your exposure, lock them in. Now, to get that exposure, you're going to have to show up early. Don't show up 30 minutes before the show. You will lose all of the best spots, and that will be just the way it is. You get what's left over. Me, well, with San Francisco Fashion Week, I tend to try to show up right after the models show up. So, I'm there 3 or 4 hours before. But for the most part, like 2 hours before should be pretty good on average, depending on the size of the show. But you want to show up, get the best spot you can. All right. Then get your exposure and then lock it in. Lock in those settings. All right. Let's get back to the stuff here. Boy, I'm dropping gems. I hope you guys realize. I mean, come on now. Hey, Albert, good to see you. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, so we get to this editing. Okay, let's start with here. As I said, I selected everything already. Oh, something with my camera. Crazy work here. All right, so we chose everything already, and now I have to go through and edit it. Believe it or not, I use my own my own presets. I know you guys hear me talk about it, but guess what? My presets help me save a ton of time. So we'll press D and get into the develop module. I tend to start with clean and classy for a couple of reasons. One is it gives a little pop of color, and then also I added some skin smoothing for models and portraits, etc. So you can see I already have my preset here, and then I'm going to adjust accordingly. And what I do is when I go through, I do the edit first, and then I'll go through. Well, the first thing is stage one is I select the best of the best. Boom. Once I do that, then I go through and edit the photos, right? Color correct, basically. And then third step is then I go and readjust the crop, okay? Because some of these might be a little too large of a frame. Like this might be a little bit, I could come in a little bit closer here, okay? That's step 3. And then step 4, I go back and make sure all the tones, like mostly like white balance, etc., is basically the same. And then I export. Okay. So that's really like I go about it in stages. Sometimes I'll take a break. Like today we'll do some editing and then I'll take a break, a lunch, and then I'll go back and do the crop stage and stuff like that. Okay. So you want to give your eyes creative rest because you'll miss mistakes that you should have seen, but you've just had your head deep in the sand for too long. You got to take a breather, And there we go. Sorry, I just had to send some stuff. All right. So now, sorry, on a Sunday, I still have like other things. Okay, here we are. Here's the first photo. So I'm going to try to go as quick as possible because I want this stream to be like under 2 hours. All right. So you can see here, there's a before. And as you can see, I used ISO 1000. A lot of you like, why are you shooting so much high ISO? ISO isn't always so bad, okay? Especially if you're under 6400. All right, that's my opinion. In this case, it was 1,000. Why? I would have lost all that ambient light in the back. It would have been just a cave and this model that's well lit from the AD200. That is no brainer. That's a very boring, flat photo. Okay. I want ambient light. Look at all that ambient light. But that ambient light is like, I don't know, 50 yards behind her. Okay. So that light's not bright enough to reach where the model is standing. Therefore, you need the ISO. And then when you bump up the ISO and I have my shutter speed locked and my aperture locked, what am I going to do? I'm going to lower the power on the flash and balance the exposure of the ambient light and the flash. That therefore the flash was only at like 1/64th power for that reason. So it's bright enough to tap her because she's closer, right? Using dang it, what's the rule? It's inverse square law. She's closer to the flash, so I don't need as much power. But then that allows the ISO allows a lot of this light to shine through. That's what is giving me a nice ambient or more balanced exposure throughout the entire frame. Really nerdy stuff. I'm telling you. That's why lighting matters. Lighting matters. If you're a photographer, it's not your damn camera. It's how you understand lighting and get to the proper exposure. All right. Not just dumping tons of light from a flash. That is not that's not how you're gonna win. Okay. Look at that. Got me knocking out my cords and stuff. All right. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So now from here, so that's my reasoning on the settings itself. So that's why we got to this. That's the original, and I increased it a little bit from here. Now look at I always create a couple masks. One is the background, one is skin, and I always do like a general subject, right? We'll just call this subject or model. Okay. Now on the first photo, I always work on the first photo because then I could just copy and paste, right? I could do batch editing for the rest of them because the models are generally in the same spot. The exposure is generally in the same spot. And the flash isn't moving. I'm not moving, right? So I'm going to edit the first one, how I want the rest to generally be affected. So I'm going to increase the exposure a little bit here. Okay. Now I'm not doing this right now. The whites, I don't need to look at the histogram, but you can see it's getting a little bit too much. Okay. It's even though it's super low, it says a dark photo, but I'm telling you, start doing this and you post to Instagram, it's going to look overexposed. Dial it a hair back. That's what I noticed. To get good exposure in Instagram, dial it a hair back. If it looks good here, dial it a hair back, and then the exposure will be more like to what you want to see on Instagram. So there you go. Shooting at f2.0. And I shot at f2.0 because there's a lot of people here and their knobby knees and whatnot. So the 2.0 is going to give me some great separation between this busy background and even though sitting close to the model, thus, with the shallow depth of field where it really makes the subject pop. Okay. That is the point of me shooting a little bit more shallow. Usually I like to do from 2.8 to 4.0, depending, if it's a really, really good runway, I'll just shoot 4.0. But in this case, the 2.0 also allowed me to get a little bit more light into the camera. So that's pretty good. There's the before, there's the after, right? Not bad. Let me go to the skin. Yeah, okay, so we have her. I always, when it comes to portraits and models, I always bump up the highlight a little bit on the skin, which helps to alleviate any natural flaws that we see. Okay, that's a little cheat code for retouching. Little bump in the highlight goes a long way. All right. All right, so we got that before, after, looking pretty solid. All right, looking pretty solid. Do I have any turn cover action? Okay. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just. Okay. So we got that. Now I'm going to test it out in the next one. So since I pretty much it's the same model. Just press previous. Batch editing is going to be your best friend. I can edit all of these in under 2 hours. And what is it, 250 photos? Yeah, I could do that in like 2 hours if I wasn't streaming with all of you. Okay, so I blame you all. I blame you all. But boom. So you can see there, looking pretty solid, pretty solid. And again, don't worry about the crop. I purposely shot wide open for a reason. I'm going to share that with you in a second. Okay, not with wide open. I mean, with such a large frame, there's a lot of negative space all throughout this frame for a reason. And this is what I mean by approaching runway photography. Let me get to this big screen. Okay, let me get to this big screen. I'm about to rant. Okay. One of the reasons why I said earlier that one of the biggest mistakes I noticed when it comes to editing runway photos is that they approach it like events, weddings, candid shots, etc., and even portraits, regular portraits. It's much different because the purpose of the photos and how they are going to be used is much different. So therefore, you have to plan ahead. All right. So give yourself some space. We got a comment here. Thank you for doing this, Rob. I'm getting more into it. Awesome. I love to hear it. All right. Thank you, King Kruk. That's awesome to hear, man. You know me, I'm trying to bring life to both filmmaking or video production and into photography. Photography, I have like, I think it's like almost 15 years of photography experience. And I love them both. I'm glad you're enjoying this. It's going to help. Trust me. Lightroom, like I actually decreased my membership in Lightroom. I mean, in Adobe to only the photography package, Lightroom and Photoshop recently. And Lightroom is so damn good. It really is. I mean, I could edit so fast in Lightroom. It's crazy. And it's so efficient. And they do improve on it. For people who gripe about it, they do improve on it. I just don't like the business model so much. I wish I could just buy the software and be done with it. But can't deny how effective it is, especially for events, weddings, etc. Okay, let's get back to it. Okay. Now, where the heck is my thing at? Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'll press, oh, whoops. There we go, my bad. Go to the next one and just see how it is. Now, you can see here, the exposure is a little bit different. Well, I think it's just, I think I would want to dial that down just a hair, but it's pretty close. So I could go to the model or the subject mask, dial it down just a hair, and that's better. All right. I like detail in white. It's still white, but you don't want to lose the detail and do this. Just like, oh, now it's really white. Well, you're losing detail in it. All right. So now it's still white and you have detail. Okay. Because you're shooting. Remember, the designers, they're wearing the designers. Got to respect how they made this stuff. They're not making it for you to look cool, whatever. They're trying to sell some of their stuff and obviously promote their craft. So shoot it well. Shoot it respectfully. It's not about you. All right. And how you see their stuff, unless they're paying you for a mood board or editorial shoot, and you can get a little bit crazy with it. All right. All right. So generally, this is pretty solid. I like it. There's the before. See how much darker it is? There's the after. I got a little bit more light in the in the background because I shot at 2.0 and at ISO 1000. Now, if you're using flash, I would never drop lower than 250. Right. That's just me. Okay. Make sure it's, a little bit high speed sync. My Z8 is right at 250. Some cameras 200, etc. But I would not drop lower than 250. My personal opinion. All right. If you could do 400, that's great. That means you're going to have to increase the power of the flash. But sometimes you have, oh, shoot, there's another tip. Oh, my God. I can't believe I'm giving you guys all this. Now, when I'm shooting, when you're adjusting your flash or your power, you have to also think about how long the show is. How many photos do you plan on taking that you need this flash to keep rocking for you? So if you're shooting at a quarter power, you may not last the entire show, or you need to have a second battery. That's why I keep all that in mind. So in this case, I only need to shoot at 1/64th with the AD200. I didn't even get near half. I don't think I got a third of my battery depleted. And that allows me to have a faster recycle time, right? If I want to catch that next pose from the same model before they walk away, or when the next one is walking up and I see the perfect shot, that recycle time matters a lot too. Okay. So therefore, try to keep that flash just enough to expose and freeze your subject, but make sure you get that good old ambient light in there too. All right. Oh, we got Albert in the house. Living in New York City for 8 years and was able to shoot my runway shows. This was a good job before cell phones with cameras and social media came along, but now that's not. No, you're absolutely right. I did in LA and New York for like 3 or 4 years. And then now with social media, everything else, people, honestly, I think they just rather invite blogging influencers and have them push the content they capture or something. I don't know. But either way, they certainly don't have the budgets like they used to for photographers. But I learned to make sure that I win. Like when I do shows, I make sure I capture tons of content and get way more followers and make sure I get something out of it for my time. The two most consistent aspects for me as a runway shooter were color, accuracy, and sharpness, which refers to the detail in the dresses. Everything else is secondary. Those are very good. Yeah, that's a very good point. And that's why I talked about um, proper exposure and make sure you don't overexpose white colors, right? They want the details. They want the details, want the details. And yes, color accuracy is clearly a must, right? They may want red, but you're making it look burgundy, right? So there's a discrepancy there. So 100%. All right, let's get back into it. Cool. So we have that. So generally, I'm liking the way it looks. So what I'm going to do is now, since I already pre-selected all my favorite, I'm going to go to the last photo, select all, and then guess what? I'm going to do sync. I'm going to sync all my masking. I never sync the removal, right? Blemish removal, something like that. Never do that. And then I press synchronize. And then, contains mask. Let's just do this. All right. So now I'm just waiting, right? That's what we're doing here. And my wait music. All right, still updating. It's wow, it says a couple minutes. Holy moly. That's crazy. Okay. Okay. Cause I have mask and AI stuff going on. So now it's gonna take a couple minutes. So we are going to talk a little bit. Uh cool. So while that's doing that, let me talk about the purpose of how I frame the photos. As you can see, like when I show you this photo here, there's a lot of negative space in this frame, right? All that is negative space. See all that negative space? Now, the final image won't be have that much negative space, like never. But I do that for, well, one first obvious reason is that I can recrop, right? And adjust. Sometimes it's not as straight as I'd like. Sometimes she's not closer to the center. And the one thing I do want is her or the design itself that she's wearing more toward the center of the image. So shooting a bit wider allows me to do that. Also, it allows me to repurpose the image. Right now, we're shooting at a 2 to 3 aspect ratio, and if I want to, just for kicks and giggles, make it for Instagram, then I need a actual 3x4 or 4x5 for Instagram. So therefore, some head space and foot space is going to be chopped off unless I give it some breathing space in the composition. If I want to make squares out of it, can I really do that without chopping too much off? And or if I want to make thumbnails for YouTube, whatever the case may be. So that's why I always leave a little bit more space when I'm shooting models in my composition than I would normally, so that I can repurpose depending on how myself or perhaps the designer or even an editorial like a magazine may want to publish the images. How do they want to use it? Now we're talking about pages that are 8x10, right? And that's again not the natural aspect ratio of our images coming straight out of our camera. So we got to leave some headspace. You do an 8x10 on a 2:3, you might chop off the shoes, some of her legs, or the head, or whatever the case may be. So that's why I always recommend shooting a little bit more wider than you are comfortable with, and then you can repurpose later. With the Z8, I could shoot 45 megapixel images. So guess what cropping does? Nothing. Okay. You're not going to feel it. No one's going to know it. Just you and your camera. Excuse me. Uh-oh. So you're good to go to crop. Like, don't worry. All right. Unless you're cropping to like 5% of your total image or something like that. And like I said, once you and the other thing is, since you're using flash and you're freezing that subject, you have more of a chance of it. Make sure that it's nice and sharp. Okay. On bigger shows like New York at LA Fashion Week or like Art Hearts Fashion and stuff like that, big shows, they have a large budget, big sponsor, big sponsors of the event, and they're going to be able to produce a very well lit runway, like huge LEDs, even lighting from the front to the rear of the runway. Like, you're just not going to be able to get a bad photo. Those shows, mean they got some really heavy hitters to help sponsor, because lighting is expensive. The majority of shows out there that are hosted on a monthly base, not a monthly basis, but just more regularly, more than likely you're going to have to bring your own lighting. And that does suck. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is what it is. And that's why I'm showing you my process of how not only do I shoot this, but also edit it as well. All right. And this thing's still going. It is not playing. Oh, okay. We're about halfway through. Yeah, we're about 50% way through. And yeah, this is really good right there. Dang, this is a lot. Well, it is what it is. Oh, let's go into here. Okay, look at that. There we go. A vampire. I hope you're digging what we're putting out there on this random Sunday stream. Okay. Hey, what's up? When you guys check in, let me know what city you're in. I'm very curious. What city are you in? Okay. Cause I would love to know what part of the world people are tuning in from and where you're finding this at. All right, so this thing is almost there. I see it. Oh my goodness. All right, we're about 60% now. And let me show you this again. For those that are just tuning in, this is what I used right here. The Nikon Z8 with the Nikon Z50 f1.2 lens. That's what I used for all of these photos. Okay. If you're not sure what lens to bring, I would bring, a zoom lens, like a medium zoom or like a 24-70, 24. I'll do 24-70 if you have a f2.8, like this was inside of like a nightclub kind of a thing, an upscale one for sure. But the lighting was very cool to hang out in, but super dark. Like, it was super dark. Like, if you tried to shoot video in there, it's a wrap. It wasn't gonna happen. I brought my GoPro in there and it was so dark. I couldn't even get any footage. And that's kind of why I'm on here today, sharing with you how I'm editing it, but I want to bring the entire show to you like I did last week with the shows that I shot. Okay. Let's see here. If I before the days of can't miss autofocus, I would increase the sharpness settings on my camera. This way, if the focus is slightly off, I could still get a keeper. Hey, that's a really good trick. That's a real good trick. Right now, we're like at the point where, shoot, most of our camera is autofocus so dang good, it's really hard to miss. It really is. One thing it does do is sometimes it might get somebody in a crowd, right? So that's why I make my autofocus box more small, exactly where the model will be, so that prioritizes the autofocuses in that area. So I don't do all area autofocus. I'll keep it like a large box or a small box, generally where the model will walk right into, to make sure I still get those sharp images, Good. Let's see here. All right, we're about 70%. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize how long this would take, but don't worry. It's moving right along. Thank you, Lightroom. But boy, it's taking its time. 72% now. 72%. Going once, going twice. All right. So in the meantime, folks, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want to see me go live more often, smash the like, of course, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications of when I do go live or post new content, stuff like that. For those who are first checking out my channel, I talk nothing. What did I say? I talk everything about photography and videography and video production, stuff like that. And sometimes I just talk crazy too. So it is what it is. All right. If you have any questions, comments, etc., make sure you post them all down in the super chat. I would love to know where you are tuning in from. That's always really cool to know. Because you never know, like, how far is your reach, right? When you post and you're like, how far is your influence? And what I mean by influence is like, where are people like checking your stuff out and then positively being influenced? All right. I don't mean like influencer, like social media influencer. Of course, one awesome way to support the channel, believe it or not, is by becoming a member. And when you do, it allows me to dedicate more time to creating not only more content, hiring models to create specific content for all of you out there. And honestly, it's not a get rich quick, right? Even though the proceeds come to me, 30% of it goes to Google. All right. They give like 30%, believe it or not, through super chats and whatnot. So either way, but it is greatly appreciated. If you want to become a member actually, it's cheaper than a cup of coffee nowadays per month, but it really does help out and greatly appreciate it. All right. Let's see. We got something here. Oh, okay. You're still in New York. There you go. I'll be moving back closer to New York. I'm going to be moving more toward the Midwest in Michigan, but I will be visiting New York for sure because I'll be only like 2-hour flight to New York now. So I was just talking about looking to attend some New York Fashion Week shows. I do know a fashion show producer, so I'm sure I can get tapped in and start shooting some shows. That'd be really dope. I do miss New York a lot. I know it's changed tremendously, but I do miss New York. Like I miss the vibe, I miss the energy. I miss how amazing it is to shoot there. If you're a photographer and you got nothing but a plethora of gorgeous models, like, man, it's a smorgasbord. So if you're in New York, man, there's really no reason to shoot, okay? Except the weather, right? Sometimes weather can get crazy. Spontaneously, of course, let's see here. I want to see what I can show you while we're waiting. Oh, here's something that I really liked. Check this out right here. Okay. I did a review on this, but man, I really like this lens. All my behind the scenes photos that you saw earlier was taken with this little cheap little $300 lens, all metal body, Z mount lens, 7 Artisans 35 f1.8. And I absolutely had so much fun shooting BTS content with this, meaning BTS photos. I think a 35 is that sweet spot for candid shots. With 35, you can still get some compression. With the f1.8, you're getting great low light. It's compact, so you're out of the way. And it's wide enough to get a group shot. So, not gonna lie, I've had a lot of fun using this. I'm definitely gonna bring this more to fashion shows to shoot behind the scenes with. And then I'll switch to my primary lens for the runway. And my camera is, woo! What in the good God's name is going on? Let me see. Give me a second here, folks. Yes, I noticed that. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. I noticed that. I don't know what the heck was going on. It's like it's possessed by a photography spirit, an evil one. Oh, there it is. Dude, what in the world? You know what? Hold on. Let me try to fix it. Okay. The cords seem good to go. My camera isn't blinking. That's the thing. The camera is fine. I see the camera here, but it's something within this program, I guess. All right. Anyway, let's get back to it, shall we? Thank you, Alex, for letting me know. Really appreciate it. There we go. All right. Now we get to editing. Thank you, good sir. Really appreciate it. All right. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Alex. Okay, so let's get to the editing. Cool. So now I just batch edited all of these photos, right? I edited like the first couple, and then I went ahead and batch edited the rest. Now, batch editing is really a great time saver because I'm always looking for creative ways to improve the efficiency and speed of my workflow. So batch editing is awesome, but it's not always spot on, but it does get you very close and you can work much faster. So now I'm going to go and just go through and see how I like the exposure of a lot of these. So far, it's looking pretty schmangin'. Right? That model looks good. See, the darker skin, you may have to press D. Let's go in there. And since I already created a mask for the model, I'm going to increase it just a hair. There we go. Just a little bit. Because with darker skin, the light gets absorbed. While white or fair skin folks, the light reflects. So you may have to dial down the power of the flash. Okay, so you'd have to do the inverse for our models of color. Okay, so I'm just going to, just a little bit. See, I'm only doing like a dab. A dab will do. A yabba dabba do. All right. Okay. Believe it or not, that's all you need. A yabba dabba will do. So I'm just going through. Since I generally have everything I want, since the scene isn't, the exposure of the environment doesn't change, the power of the flash doesn't change, my settings don't change. It's really just the model that I'm worried about in terms of exposure that I would dial up or down it with. Okay. So as I'm going through, see, I'm already on the 13th image. I'm looking for exposure, color, etc., and seeing if I like it. So that's basically all I'm worried about. So I'll go to model here. Maybe no, I don't like it. Cool. So she may need a little bit more punch. Right? Boom. Look, it's only like 30, right? Her again. And that's all I'm doing. I'm going on to the next one. Okay. Maybe I'll do boom. And that's it. And I move to the next one. Pretty solid. Since she's further away from the lens than the other model, inverse square law, well, using inverse square law means she's going to be a little bit darker since she's further away from the key light or my flash. All right. So yes, I will bump her up. Let's say that's cool. And this one, oops, let's go to her. Same thing. That could work. That's cool. And see, look how fair her skin is. So in this case, I'm going to go to skin, dial down some of that exposure. And all I did was pull back the highlight. Boom. See where it was? This is where it should be. More like this. All right. Now look at that. And then I'm going to go to model. I'm going to actually bring some of this shadow down a little bit. So I don't want the blacks to be, I want them to still be black, if that makes sense. Boom. That's really nice. I dig that. And then, cool. Yeah, okay. Got it. All right. So let me just do this. Cool. Go to model. Back to black a little bit. Cool. See, now I'm already about to be on image 30. You know what? Let me go to model. Now I'm going to actually dial this back because she has fair skin too. Boom, bada bang. There we go. Got to bring some color back. You know, even though fair skinned folks, got to bring the color back. So now this whole image, because I think someone else's flash fired at the same time. So I'm going to dial the whole image back. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the model and brighten up the shadow here. There we go. Something like that. And I always shoot a horizontal photo just so I know that that collection is done. All right. And then here we are. Okay. Now, it looks kind of cool, but let me get to his skin. Lower that just a hair. There we go. Cool. 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 All right. He looks all right. He looks cool. He looks cool. Again, this is about efficiency. Since I already did a lot of the legwork earlier, I edited 1 or 2 photos, then I batch edited the rest. I already selected my favorites. I can go, I'm breezing right through this. I'm on image 38 already. Okay. Now I'm going to select the model, increase some of those shadows. There we go. Just yeah, like that. Cool. Nice. Same thing. Go to skin. Because he's a little bit further. Everything else exposures looks okay. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, let's lower exposure on him. Just a hair. Very nice. Model. And you can see what as I'm doing it, I'm just lowering it on the model themselves. Everything else I like, and that's up to you too. If you don't like the way the background looks, remember I made a background mask already, and then you can just dial that in if that's what you want to do. Okay. Totally up to you. It's your photo. Like this is mine. All right. I'm just sharing with you my process. Now, this again with the horizontal photo lets me know I am done with that collection. So I've already finished 2 collections. Now we're off to the 3rd. I think there's 6. Can't remember. But either way, I've already completed 50 photos out of 254 right in front of you. That's because I've created a very fast workflow when it comes to shooting these shows. I could turn these things over pretty quick now, but it used to take me forever. Okay. It used to take me a lot longer. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. So you can spend more time looking for the next gig or something. All right. I'm going to give you my Bob Ross voice here. What we're doing here is we're creating happy photos, capturing memories, you know. Then we're going to share them. What are good memories if you can't share them with others? Right? There we go. We want people to say, gosh, I wish I was there. And make them smile. Don't you want to make someone smile today? That'd be my Bob Ross if he was like a photo editing photographer or something like that. That'd be cool. And again, as I said earlier, I'm not worrying about composition and or framing and cropping yet. This stage is pure exposure, color correct, etc. Okay? That's it. That's all, folks. Oh, this is what I wanted. Go. Diddly diddly doo. So I'm just going through easy breezy. Right? So you see with this model, I actually want to increase her exposure. There we go. I like that. Don't you like that? It looks, now this one, I'm going to have to decrease. We don't want her to look like she's blown up with exposure. I'm going to decrease the shadows a little bit to get a little more contrast. There we go. There we go. See? There we go. Not bad. But always could be better. And that's what we try to do here at Robert Sewell Photography YouTube channel. There we go. We strive for progress, not perfection. And if you want, since I just edited her here, if I liked it, I could just go here and press previous. Bloop. Let's see what it does. There we go. Let me just increase the, there we go, just a little bit. That looks cool. And in here, again, the horizontal, if you want to edit this, you can. It'd be like that. Beep. I got this let me see if the editing removal tool can help me move this guy here. Okay, let's move this guy. Let's see what we do. All right. Cool. Whoa. Oh, wait, I did it wrong. Let me do it again. That was crazy. Okay, here we go. Generative AI. Let's see what it does. All right. All right. Now let's see what it can do. All right. Wow. All right. I can't say it's bad. Is that? And then it created a whole person with a big head and a very small body. But not gonna lie, it actually looks better than having this dude right here. Our eyes naturally go to the brightest thing within the frame. So him being all white and closer to my lens, you don't even go to the models. You go to him first visually. So removing that actually draws your eyes more toward the center. So I would like to work with this photo. I would do something like this, crop in more, get that person out my photo. Something like that. Yeah, that. Yep. Boom. Go back here. All right, let's remove this little, whatever that is. Oh, that's the person's head or the fake person's head. Cool. Remove. Bam. Look at that. Ah, no one's none the wiser. That's hilarious. Anyway, so as I said earlier, when I am done with the collection, I always have a horizontal shot at the end, so I know I'm done, and now I'm off to the next one. So I'm on the fourth collection, and on image number 65. So I'm zooming right through. I'm zooming pretty quick through this. Okay. Here we go. Let me get to the model thing. Yeah, this is where I really want to. Cool. So you see, I'm just going right through this. Easy breezy. And when I mean model, I'm using subject. I'm doing this. Select subject. I just named it model, so it covers the entire model. As you can see, lower the exposure a little bit. Bam. Okay. And I always say a dab will do. When it comes to editing, a dab will do. Okay, look at that. Boom. Nice exposure. Good separation at f2.0. Super solid. Okay. Now, what did I do in the last one? Let me see. Negative 0.03. Let's do that. Okay. Oh. 1.03. Nice. So you see here, clearly we need to bring the exposure back a little bit. Okay. And then for her, because her skin, I dial back that highlight. There we go. Now she has some color in her skin. Let's do that again. Then lower that a hair. Cool. Let me just see. Cool. Let's use the subject on this one because the entire photo, I think, needs to come back. Hers is not bad. Again, we're just going for color correction, exposure, etc. Okay, so don't worry about framing yet. That's the next step. Okay. Ironically, looks solid just because she has fairer skin way down there. But since she's closer to the frame, to the flash here, I'm going to dial it back a little bit. Now, look at that skin tone. Okay, look at the skin tone. Much better. Got some color back, believe it or not. All right. Cool. Here we go. Dial that back just a hair. So I just do just a little bit. And then here we are at the end of the next collection. And now we move to the next. All right. So I'm on image 81 at a 254. So I'm zooming right through this. Zooming right through it. Hey, it's kind of cool. You just brighten this guy up a little bit. He looks cool. 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 At the end, again with the horizontal shot. Some shows actually have the name of the designers on like a screen or something, and I would photograph that at the beginning of each collection. But in this case, this is a good cheap way to do it so that when you get home and you shot all day at Fashion Week and you have 20 designers and stuff, then you know when to stop or to separate each of the collections. That's why I do it the way I do it. There's a method to the madness. Really is, believe it or not. Cool. And see, I don't want to mess with the dress per se, so I'm not using subject. I'm using just the highlight to bring down the exposure in our skin. Get that color back. Get that color back. Okay, that's what the name of the game is. Okay, that's cool. Here, I'll definitely do that. Cool. In this case, I'd want to increase the exposure here. She's further back. Oh. Yeah, let's do 30. And here she looks good. That's not bad. Can work with that. Can work with that. Just dial back our skin just a hair. There we go. Same with her. Boy, look at how the light just bounces off of her skin. Right? Oh. Okay, now we got some color back. See? Yeah, got some color back. All right. Cool. Same thing with her. And now go to model. Decrease the exposure on all of it. Go to model. Whoops. Jeez. There we go. Heaven's sakes. Yodely diddly do. A yodely diddly do. There we go. Nice. Say same thing for her skin tone. Look at that. You brought the color back. Easy. Easy. All right. Okay. I just want the outfit. A little bit details in the outfit to show a little bit more. She looks good. Really good. Really good. Let's lower the exposure just a hair. There we go. Cool. She's not bad. Here we do have an issue. Let's brighten up her hair. Go to skin. Brighten it up a little bit. There we go. And again, a dab will do. This is pretty solid. Pretty solid. Here we definitely need some control. Just lower that a hair. Yeah, there we go. Look at that detail we just recovered. Look at that. Boom. Nice. A dab will do. A yabba dab will do. Okay. Boom. Press previous. Boom. Cool. A yabba dabba do. Boom. Just a hair. See how fast I'm going right through these? This is what I want. I don't like sitting on these photos forever, especially if you're shooting Fashion Week for multiple days. This will absolutely drain your spirit if you do it the long way. Okay. Nice and fast, quick and easy. Get them out, get them done. And then you can free up your time for more important, like let's say, if you shot this for free, like I shot these for free, but I get to the projects that matter, right? Finishing another YouTube video or something. Okay, those are cool. Here we go. Here's my last shot. I think I'm on the am I on the last? No. Shoot, I don't know if I'm on the last designer. No. Okay, I'm still rocking and rolling. We got a lot left, clearly. Okay. Let me go to her, lower the exposure. Boom. Look at that. Those highlights really hid all those details in a dress. Okay. There we go. Cool. Those work. Let's work on her. Okay. That's fair enough. Let me just lower hers just a hair. That's cool. That's cool. I think his need to go down too. And this one's crooked, but again, as I said, I'm not going to worry about composition yet. And just go through, edit, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right. So there, we're looking pretty good here. Now you can see there's a huge contrast between the color of her skin tone and the dress. That's why I created these. I create a mask for these areas. So I'm going to go to her skin because the dress looks pretty good and increase the exposure just on her skin. Okay. Just a hair so that she doesn't get lost in the shadows in the back. Okay. Cool. 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 Not bad. Look with that. Let me just a little bit here. I know this sounds so boring just listening to me go through all this. But you see how fast I'm able to do it now since I laid the groundwork earlier. Selecting the images, batch editing after editing a couple of images. And now my life is easy breezy lemon squeezy because I spent time dialing in the exposure, locking in the settings during the runway show. And now it saved me all this time. Exposure. Cool. Cool. Next. Next. Increase in this case, unlike the previous model, just that looks good. That looks good. That's pretty good. Cool. And then I go to subject. Cool. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's cool. So you can see once you start getting the flow, like you just like go super fast. If I just had a podcast on or a music playing, I could get through this thing and lickety split. Okay. Lickety split. There we go. See that little bit of that really brings back some color, not only in our skin tone, but in the outfit. Not bad. Let me go to her and just make that black pop a little bit more. That's cool. Cool. Oh, the exposure. And that's the end of that design. See, now I'm on image 181 at a 254. So you can see how fast I was able to process all these photos. Okay. So if I could do it, you for sure could do it. Once you come up with a process, and that's what I'm trying to share with you is my personal process. So I can hurry up and edit. Now, it might be affecting the exposure of the subject, but the environment stays the same. And that's what I would like, so that you have a nice, consistent set of images of a collection. There's nothing worse than because having where the exposure is dark and one is bright. Okay. I think that's okay. Is maybe we can. Whoops. Put some color back. Cool. Okay. Cool. You see, I'm just rinsing and repeating the process. Okay. When I see an issue, I already know which mask do I want to do and what variable do I want to adjust. There we go. Cool. Lower the exposure here. Cool. And there we go. We're on to the next one. Image 200 at a 254. This may be the last collection. I can't remember. That looks okay. That looks good. Okay. Let me do. No, it's pretty safe. Sometimes you gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Shout out to Kenny Rogers. Okay. You gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them. All righty. Here we go. And then since she is right here, I will just do previous. Previous. Cool. Here we go. Now, she might be fair skinned, but she's not like reflecting light like a flashlight or something. She's more, better exposed. No. Now I got that Kenny Rogers song stuck in my head. Yowzers. Yowzers. This is what happens. Oops. There we go. That'll work for her. will work. We're going to just lower her highlights. Look at that. Look at the color recovery. See, that's a little bit exposed right there. A lot of people may keep that. I like to try to get a little bit better. Okay. That's just the way I see it. I don't know. I could be crazy. But now she looks like she has some color in her skin. Gosh. No. There we go. Cool. Like that. 0.04. Let's do that again. Let's do it one more again. Boom. Look at that. Nice. All right, real quick. Let's see. Oh. Okay, so we got a couple questions here. I see we got a couple questions. Let me answer them. Okay, so Albert says the best advice I ever received for shooting shows was to arrive early. This way you won't have to compete with other photographers for space. And it's funny that you say that because I literally talked about that at the beginning of the stream. And I said, I would arrive, quite honestly, I'm no shame in my game. I bring snacks and stuff. I'll arrive 2 hours early. Okay. I wouldn't arrive an hour before because you'd be surprised. The best spots are already taken. Okay. By people that think like me. All right. So yesterday I got there 3.5 hours early, but I was shooting BTS and like I was helping with the production. So, and setting up the photographer pit. So I got there super early, but trust me, I don't go to shows and not show up early because I know the best seats will be taken. So first come, first serve for the most part. AI is amazing. I never had that luxury of removing objects back in the day. I know, isn't that crazy? I mean, it did an okay job, but once I cropped in and everything, no one would ever have known that photographer was dead in my frame, right? Messing up the whole photo. Now I can reuse that photo. And since I shot raw and at 45 megapixel file, guess what? It's still going to look great on social media. So there you go. An awesome win. Okay. We have King Krug. How early do you need to arrive to a venue? It all depends on when they allow other photographers to arrive. So that's another variable you have to deal with. Sometimes they're like the house photographer could show up when everybody else does, but then you may have to show up a couple hours later or an hour later. But generally, I've seen photographers start floating in around 2 hours before the show. So if it's going to start at 6, I would say be there by 4 for sure. That's my gut instinct. The only difference I see between your method and mine is that you don't have to worry about removing the high ISO noise. Everything else is pretty much the same. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Okay, that means we could work fast. And yeah, I shot at ISO 1000 on purpose to get that ambient light in the back of the venue, and which I think creates more of a balanced exposed shot in the entire frame from the foreground and the background. And some photographers may just punch tons of light on the model, and then guess what the background looks like? A freaking cave. Okay, so keep that in mind when you're dialing in exposure. That's why you want to show up a couple of hours earlier, get that exposure, lock in your settings so you don't accidentally press it and move it and whatnot as you're handling your camera during the runway show. All right, let's get back to it. We're zooming right along, everybody. By the way, in the meantime, in between times, okay, please go ahead and press that like, that share, subscribe, and you already know, hit the bell so that you get notifications for upcoming content, because people who have subscribed, believe it or not, always tell me, hey, I didn't know you were live. I didn't know you dropped the video. Well, you got to press that bell icon. That's one of the best ways to make sure that you get notifications. And if you like this kind of content, this behind the scenes, or just, talk through live stream tutorials, guess what? You can support this channel by becoming a member of this channel. And that actually directly helps me to dedicate more time to creating more content for all of you out there. All right. Okay, let's get to it. Cool. So we dug this. We're moving right along. You can see like I like the exposure of this, but I'm gonna go to the skin and just a little bit. There we go. Nice. Doopity-doo. So I'm just zooming right along. Okay, just zooming right along now. Cool. She's not bad. Let me just go to her skin though. Dial that back. Cool. Now this is a whole subject situation, so I'm going to take that. Dial her back. Cool. Cool. Go here. Minus. Boom. Look at that. See now, look at you can get more detail in the white. Her skin still looks fair skinned, but she has color back. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you don't lose the detail in that white. You don't have to be like crazy with it. Oh, wait. What am I doing? What did I do here? 0.21. Okay. Boom. Beepity boppity boop. That looks cool. You just get it. Go to model, increase the whole thing here. There we go. And then I'm going to do it here. Just a hair, since she is closer to the lens. There we go. Same thing. Beep, 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 beep. And that's so that I create some contrast between the dark background and in her, even though she has darker skin than the other model. There we go. That's good. Light here. That's cool. That's all right. All right. Now here we definitely got to lower the exposure. Nice. So I did that. Then I'm going to go to skin, lower that. Boom, bada bang. That's what we're going to do. That right there. Cool. I think I want to dial that back. Mm-hmm. 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 Cool. Let me just go to model. And there. Cool. Get back some of the detail in the coat. Okay. Don't want to lose detail there. Mm-hmm. Could work. I can. Well, you know what? Let me increase her. Just a hair. Now I'm going to the full model. There we go. Oh. No, I actually like that. Same thing with her. Go to model. Increase that. Oh boy, I tell you. Let's go to just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just, you want to change just a little bit. Not too much. Just a little bit. Boost the saturation just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a touch of love. I don't know all the lyrics, but if you know, you know. All right, I'm almost at the end. Oh, God is good. Oh, my goodness. God is good. But you see, I just brought back the exposure on that, right? Look at that. So that's a little too much. And that's why I dial it down, brother. Dial it down. Bam. Now, this is a full body right here. So I'm going to just take that on the model exposure. Bam. Now, that looks good. And if you just want to press previous, and it'll apply the bam, and you move to the next. This one is pretty solid. That's pretty solid. Lower the exposure overall here. Oh, you know what? Let me put that back. Do it for subjects. Lower the exposure just a little. He's got that fair skin. Boom, bada bang. There we go. It is what it is. In this case, we do the inverse. We're going to make it a little bit brighter. And that is it. That is it. That is it. That is all for that stage. Okay. And this, I don't even know why I'm editing. I'm just editing it anyway. But I use it to, as I said earlier, to close out the collection. Okay, let's go to grid. So now in that amount of time, I just edited 254 photos. And the only thing I have to do now is go back and crop. Okay, and readjust the composition of these. So first, let me check. We do have some comments. Let's go right here. We got Albert. ISO performance is so good today that you don't even need a flash in higher end. Well-lit venues. You can shoot at shutter speed for 100 and increase. I know. I do miss that experience. LA and New York and Miami will give you that, right? There are definitely shows where you just show up with your lenses and your camera and you're rocking and rolling the whole day. I absolutely do miss that. But there are a lot of local shows, not only where I'm at, but wherever most people are at, that don't have that sponsorship and production and be able to afford that production value. So it is what it is, you know. But that is cool. I do like that. My shutter speed was always at 500. That's what I did when I didn't need a flash. You know, but when you're using flash, you drop your shutter speed. You know you're going to freeze the subject for the most part. And the other benefit is you get more ambient light entering that lens and getting into that camera. Okay. Okay. And for me, I would never drop it lower than 1/250th of a second. That's just me. It's just me. You can increase it, of course, but increasing it means you have to also increase the power of your flash, blah, blah, blah. I talked about that earlier. All right. So let's go back. Now I want to go over the next stage. So I already selected the images. I went through and did a color correction. Now I'm going to go through and crop. Okay, so I'm not going to do that for every image. I'm just going to go through and show you how I do, let's say, 3 to 5 images and give you an idea. Okay, we're reaching about almost 2 hours out here. Okay, it's my Sunday. I need to put my feet up. Okay, here we go. I hear someone laughing out there. Oh, okay. Anyway, all right, here we go. Thought someone was laughing at me out there. Okay, so we're back in the develop module. Press D. And we're going to concern ourselves with the crop over here, all this madness. All right. Now, look at all these aspect ratios. Now, for Instagram, that's a 4 to 5. Okay. Or like an average page size, 8 by 10. Like a magazine size. This is the aspect ratio a lot of magazines want. Here's your 1-to-1 square. 8.5 by 11 for another magazine size, depending on the magazine. But there's your average piece of paper, 5 by 7 and 2:3 aspect ratio and stuff like that. Okay. So the reason why I said earlier to shoot a little bit wider so that you could repurpose it depending on how you and or your client plans on using these images. Okay. So if I want to go 1-to-1, I'm still getting the entire model. Okay. Boom. I'm still looking good. All right. Now, if I want to do for Facebook, boom, or Instagram, look at that. Full photo. It looks great. I see where she's being shot inside of. It's giving me some context as to the venue and stuff like that. Full body, head space, and all. Boom. That looks great. And then when I go to 5 by 7, obviously that's going to give me a full body too. And of course, a 2-to-3 already does. Okay. So that's why I shoot a little bit wider with very little effort. And since I'm shooting raw and I have 45 megapixel images, even if you have only a 24 megapixel camera, this is not going to damage the image when you post it on Instagram because they're going to compress it anyway. Okay. So you could totally do this. Boom. Look at that. 4:5 aspect ratio. That's what Instagram's portrait aspect ratios are. You're good to go. Full body. Now, if I shot too close, let's just go back to the original, right? Let's go back to the original. Let's say if I shot too close and it's like perfect. I don't know, like that, I guess. Jeez, I can't even know that. All right. So let's say if you took the photo and you're like, I got her. She looks great. Well, you already know, just use your common sense. You cannot put a full body in any other aspect ratio than the original, right? Boop, there you go. Okay. You see how it is over here on the left in the navigator screen? Let's go to 4:5. Okay. Can't do it. You're going to have to sacrifice here on the legs or somewhere. Okay. That's why I said shoot wider. Now you're probably saying, Robert, how do you know? Well, because I've done this so many times where I messed up so many more times that I got tired of messing up and I got tired of not having enough space. So this is what I've learned. So I'm literally sharing with you through the trenches. I've learned this. No one came and told me. I'm telling you, this will save you so much time, so much headache, and so much energy beating up on yourself. They're like, damn, I should have shot a little bit wider. On runway shows, I'd rather you shoot wider. It won't matter. Okay. The image they're using at the end is like a 2 to 3 megabit photo. Okay. 2 to 3 on social media. Okay. So you have plenty of information. Even when I crop here, look, I'll go from here. Okay, let's excuse me. Let's look at the info. So it's 5504. Let's go crop it. All right. Boom. It dropped it. You don't even notice a drop. You didn't even notice a drop. It still gives me the same width. And you still could print this out to be a freaking 16 by 20 if you want to. Come on. Shoot a little bit wider. And then you could do whatever you want later on. And the other part is, in case it is a little bit crooked, you could totally readjust the, in post. And being cropped, it gives you that latitude. All right. So with all that said, just a little bit, make sure you can still like get a 4:5 out this thing. There you go. See? Whoops. There we go. So I'm just going to crop in just a hair so I get rid of some of this space up top and bottom. And I always try to put them dead center. Some magazines like put a whole collection in a row. Therefore, the images are super skinny. Best way to do it, keep them in the center. And then the designer or the creative director, whoever, can easily use these photos how they wish. Okay? That's just me. Do what you want. Do whatever you want. I won't be showing up and putting you on timeout because you didn't listen to me. But like they say, Time is a great teacher. Okay, so I'm just getting rid of some of the negative space. But when I go to post, I could post full body all day. Let me just see how this is. Adjust a little bit. The only place that I do square is what is it? It is shoot, what the heck is it? It's on YouTube because the post, when you make a post in the community page on our channels, you only can post, you only see a square. I don't know why. I don't know why, as advanced as Google is with AI and everything else, you still only could post an image that's a square. Like, I mean, that is so ass backwards to the nth degree. But thankfully, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere else, I can post more of a 2 to 3 or a 4 to 5 aspect ratio. All right. Just a little bit. You know, so there we go. Just a little bit. It's so annoying, but it is what it is. See, like this is crooked, so I would come in a little bit. And I always leave a little bit more room up top compared to the bottom of the frame. So like give it like a 1 to 2. A 1 to 2 ratio, right? For every 1 foot down here, maybe 2 feet above or something like that. Okay. Composition does matter. Whoops. Oh, Jesus. Composition does matter. Okay. Composition is king. Okay. I don't know what happened with her. She needs. There we go. And see, that's why you go over this another time. You might miss exposure and be like, oh, you know what? I actually don't like how, like in this case, maybe I do want her a little bit more brighter. Cool. And since she's a bit further away, I can sacrifice on this. Just a little bit. Whoops. Mm-hmm. Cool. There we go. And then I just repeat that process. And you see how I'm using the grid here to keep her more or less centered in the frame. Okay. Then I'm going to go here. I'm going to brighten her up a little bit. Boom, like that. Guess I'm going to use her skin and come up. Just there we go. And see? I just moving right along. Moving right along. All right. So, with all that said, boom. Look at that. That actually looks pretty good. Can't complain. Nikon Z8 with the Nikon Z50 f1.2 lens lit with the Godox AD200. All right. All the gear is down below for you to check out if that's what you want to do. Hold on. We got. Just so you know, I'm a big fan of Slave and Steve Arrington. Just a little bit. Oh, okay. I don't. Oh. Okay. You must be talking about the song. Okay. Hey, man. I'm just trying to remember. Some of these songs have a lot of great life lessons. All right. That Kenny Rogers is one of them. All right. I'm just putting it out there. No one to hold them. No one to fold them. Okay. Sometimes you're doing too much. All right. Got to know when to pull back. Take a break. Sit your ass down. All right. And that definitely goes for editing every single time. One of the hallmarks of like new editors that I've noticed is like overdoing in saturation, overdoing in contrast, and stuff like that. Or what do they do with color select and they really boost up just one color or something like that? Like that, those are tall tale signs. A dab will do, a yabba dabba do. All right. And that goes for any style of editing that I'm doing personally, whether it be portraits, weddings, landscape, street, and as you see here, runway photography as well. All right. So I shot all these with just that one lens, one light, one camera, and just kept it rocking and rolling. And as I said earlier, I dialed in. When I first showed up early, dialed in all my exposure, and then locked my settings in. Lock the settings on the flash. Lock the settings in on my camera, so I don't move it as I'm shooting. Because a lot of times as you're shooting, you may just go and press that front dial, rear dial on accident, and you just messed up your exposure. Then you're spending time trying to dial back the correct exposure that you like versus looking at the model and framing up the model for the next shot. Okay. So once you do that, then when you get home, you go through, select all your photos, right? The best of the best. Then you start from the beginning again. You go do your basic exposure, color correction, go right through all that. Then you go back and crop and reframe. And then on the fourth step is go back and double check for both color correction, exposure, and the crop. Okay. So I go through 4 stages and then I'm done. And now I'm at the point where I could do it within just a day. I'll have that thing done and over with because I don't want to look at 1,000 runway photos for too much longer. I'm done. Okay. I already did this show. I want this thing turned over so I can do something more fun. Okay. So that's why I want to share with you my workflow. I'm going to get offline and actually smash this editing real quick. I'll have it done by the end of today, and then I'll share it with the producer by tomorrow. I hope you found this tutorial, this live stream editing situation informative at all. I haven't done something like this in quite some time, and I would love to do more. I actually like getting on and live streaming and talking to all of you and connecting live. I think there's something organic about it versus posting a video and editing it up and making it look super polished. I like to just get on here, talk my ish, and sometimes babble and connect with all of you. All right. I you know what? I don't have any LUTs yet. I just have Lightroom presets. Okay. That's the only thing I have. So the things you saw me edit with today was using, let me go grab this here, go to my store, was using these presets right here. Okay. If you want to see what I've been I edited it using my preset called Clean and Classy. All right. These are portrait photography presets, Lightroom presets. Okay. And I used my first one, Clean and Classy. There you go. Okay. You could go ahead and check that out. I think I have $5 off right now, but I don't have LUTs, but I for sure have Lightroom presets right there. You should see it in the super chat. I believe you could click it now. I don't know, but you know, go ahead and click that link I just posted. And then, but I will work on LUTs one day for sure. I think LUTs would be a great idea for the video side of things, as like half my videos are video centric. So I do see that coming up for sure. There's no bigger proof of being an amateur photographer than over editing photos. You're absolutely right, but we all start from zero, right? So I don't want to like rag on people, but that is what I notice immediately is through their post processing, right? Just like you did. So you are right there for sure. Okay, so with all of that said, I've been doing a lot of hot air blowing around here. Pause. A lot of talking. As I said earlier, go ahead, pick up my fashion photography Lightroom presets. I think I have $5 off right now. What is it? It is Yeah, it's $24.99 for a set of my Lightroom fashion photography presets. I used Clean and Classy preset for my runway photos that you saw. Okay. And they are geared toward fashion and portrait photography. So I'm just letting you know right now. Okay. As we exit, make sure you go ahead and follow me on all the socials. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and I won't stop. Okay. So go ahead. I got so many dad jokes, it'll drive you nuts. So make sure you go ahead and follow me all over the socials when you can, of course. Okay. So, all right, I must bid you all a very farewell. And I will be streaming Christmas Eve, not on Christmas. I know that's Thursday, but I will be streaming on Christmas Eve. So subscribe, like, and I will see you next time.